now we are all going to talk a little bit about our relationships with my dad. I will tell you, we came up with the name Opa when I was pregnant with Daniela. He didn't like any of the conventional options, but he did like Opa, which is Dutch for grandfather. And I just checked with Inda, and she told me that it was also used in many parts of Eastern Indonesia. So he became Opa, and it stuck. Okay, so Daniela's going to start, and then Maya, Juan Carlos, and me.
Okay. So I wrote some notes. I might be looking down a little bit at my notes, and it's a little hard for me to speak, so I didn't write too much, but I just wanted to say a little bit. So I'll just start. So I said, it's hard to put into words what I feel and what I'd like to say about my grandfather. As my mom said, the man I knew as Opa. From the moment I was born, he was nothing but kind, loving, and present with anything in my life, and then in my sister's life once she was born. My mom gave me the title Family Man to use for the slideshow that you just saw, and I find that it was a very fitting title. As a grandfather, Opa was a very big family man. He was always at birthdays and graduations. He took us out to eat at new and exciting restaurants, took us to Broadway shows, museums, and traveled the world with us. Looking back at pictures to decide what to include in the slideshow, I really remembered how much fun we had and how, despite him not always being the most sentimental person, my Opa knew how to make us feel loved and made sure we had a good time no matter what. There was even a picture, I think it might be in the first slideshow, of him when I was little, just putting his leg up like me and being silly with me, which really is something that I remember about him. So Opa was a man who inspired me. He always spoke his mind and did things his own way. When I was younger, I didn't always understand the choices that he made, but I learned to be more understanding and accepting because of him. When I came out to him and told him about my girlfriend who lived in Poland, at first he didn't understand the internet aspect of our relationship, the fact that we met online, we hadn't met in person yet, but he was still excited for me to be in a relationship. So when I took a trip to meet my girlfriend in person for the first time, he expressed how important that was for me and how glad he was that I was doing this, even though it was during COVID. Sadly, my girlfriend and Opa only got to meet once over Zoom, but that alone warms my heart, knowing that he knew I was happy and that he supported me just as I am. So there's a lot of memories that I have of Opa, but I just want to end by saying to remember to hold your loved ones close, take the trips to see them, call them, spend time with them. I sometimes would, get frustrated when I had to get on a Zoom call with him. I thought it would be too long, all of those things, but I regret that now and glad that I did take the time to talk to him and spend time with him. You never know when your family or loved ones won't be here anymore and you'll miss them once they're gone. As Opa used to say, lots of love. I love you and miss you, Opa. Thank you for everything. I'm so grateful to be your granddaughter and to have shared 25 years with you. So I would like to introduce the next speaker, who is my sister Maya, who's joining us from Costa Rica, and she'll be the next speaker.
Hello, everyone. As Daniela said, I'm zooming in from Costa Rica, where I'm living right now. And yeah, I have a couple things written, but I think I'm just gonna let it rip, Seeing that slideshow is a wonderful reminder of how I was able to enjoy him and take advantage of the time that we did have with him all around the world. And that being said, there was so much that I was looking forward to sharing moving forward, and so many conversations that I wanted to have. And I felt that this year countless times, especially as I'm branching out and growing up and being faced with all of these major life quandaries and puzzles that I would love to discuss with him. About a month before his decline, just after I'd moved back to New York after graduating from college, we went out for dinner, just the two of us, which I think we'd done before, but rarely just us two. And we talked for hours about a variety of things, and I had a blast. And it's not that I hadn't enjoyed my connection with him throughout my life. And I think like I absolutely had in all the trips, and I always enjoyed it, but there was something noticeably different about this time. And I think it had a lot to do with myself reaching a point in my maturity and intellectual development where I had a degree of interest and desire and patience and foundations academically and argumentatively and so on to keep up with him in a lively conversation for an extended period of time, which I hadn't previously felt so fully. And I was so excited to explore that new type of connection with him. And I felt proud of myself that I could hold my own. And I felt his pride in me and his respect for me and what I had to say, which is kind of a big deal. But I think most of you know, coming from someone like him. And it's something that I carry with me, and I remind myself of a lot, that and something that is hurt a lot in this year of processing the fact that we weren't able to explore that part of our relationship much further. But I still feel actively connected to him in so many ways. And I guess this past year has been a different kind of new phase of our relationship, right? A few months ago, I was passing through the library of this random botanical garden in San Vito, Costa Rica on a visa run. And out of thousands and thousands of books, I happened to pick up Environment and Cultural Behavior that I quickly realized not only featured an article of his, but was actually edited by him with his name on the front and everything. And it was just this moment of like, what the heck? And now, especially in this case, I don't tend to focus on the whole he lives on or he's watching over me or whatever. I actually laugh whenever anyone says that in attempts to be comforting, because I know that he would think that's ridiculous. So I don't think that his spirit was there like guiding me to that book or anything, but it was a magical moment and a reminder to honor and cherish him, and that despite his absence in this physical plane, his presence is very felt, very, very felt. And besides wild coincidences like that, I feel and honor his presence in so many ways, especially by seeing how deeply he has shaped my life in concrete ways, whether it's where I grew up to the travel bug that's been deeply instilled in the foundations of who I am, to just supporting and showing up and supporting me and us in whatever we want to do and allowing me to live this life that I'm currently living as well. So all of that, but also seeing the ways that I see myself in him, or I see him in me, or the things I see about him that I admire and that I want to nourish in myself. My mom kind of mentioned this, but during a visit to the hospital, where we also had some great and wonderful and stimulating conversations, like in those months, right? But I asked him what he identifies with, what he considers himself to be, what he would want to be described as. And that's where he said, the first thing that he said was that he's an inquirer. And that's something I see so clearly in him and something I see so clearly in myself. And it's such an honor to carry that lineage. I also connect with his authenticity. He was so himself at all times, so himself all the time. His curiosity, his intensity, his determination and ambition, his way of accepting and embracing change, whether in his work or in his relational styles, his interdisciplinarity, his dedication to pursuing truths about the human experience and not backing down at the immenseness of that task, but rather finding forms of inquiry to properly hold the complexity of it all. I see all these ways in which we're so similar, and I see all the ways in which we're deeply different. And again, I feel that twinge of sadness that I don't get to engage further with him about how we're similar and how we're different and how those differences might not even be that different. What fascinating conversations those would have been. But yeah, I was inspired by his experience of love, especially in those final months. I could see him soften around the love he felt from all of us. And I've been witnessing him softening my whole life, but it really amped up in those months. And I'm so happy that he got to feel that and that he got to share that. And I like to think that it highlighted the completeness and the fullness of the life that he lived. That he felt fulfilled not only in his academic career and legacy, which was the main focus for so much of his life, but in his interpersonal relations and experience of love and support in that realm. It was clear how much it moved him, and it moved us too. And yeah, I'm honored and I'm proud and I'm grateful to be his granddaughter and to come from him and to be shaped by him and to carry with me him, his love, the memories, and our peculiar ways of being for forever. So yes, thank you all for being here and much love.
No, Maya, I'm so glad to have heard you speak like that because we hadn't really talked about it. I know we've been processing it, but you so beautifully described so many things about him and about you two. So it was an honor to hear you say all of that. And I know like you being away this year has been hard, but I know that we're also at times processing things parallelly. And sometimes they intersect, but I'm just really moved by your process. And thank you for articulating that. Juan Carlos, my amazing husband, I want to just say that this family, all four of us, were a big part of my dad's hospice team. We didn't realize it was a hospice team, but it was a hospice team, love and support at the end of his life. And Juan Carlos also single-handedly went through all of his things and cleared out everything in the apartment because I was too upset to step foot there. But not only that, Juan Carlos has been helping my dad because he had freelance work and I had a full-time job at the DOE. So he actually spent a lot of time with him doing many, many things, helping him, and they had a very close relationship. So thank you to my family. And now Juan Carlos is going to say some things. We're going to spotlight him. He's in a different apartment for Wi-Fi reasons.
Hola a todo el mundo. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm speaking Spanish. Okay, I want to thank all and every one of you for being here. It's very moving for us, and it's a great tribute to Pete, and he deserved it. I wrote this. I am the easy crying in the family, so I'm sorry about that, but we'll see. Mr. Pete has been an important part of my life since August 1990. I admire his intellect, even if I didn't always understand his academic formulations at the dinner table or his dense books and essays explaining his brilliance and innovative ideas. I feel privileged to have had this fascinating father-in-law who was so irreverent, independent, honest, and generous. We share so many outings, trips, dinners, apartment, organizing sections, doctor visits, and conversations. There are some that I recall with special appreciation. We visit his childhood apartments and playground in Budapest, Balaton Lake, and the small towns where his ancestors lived. The neighborhoods he lived in New York City as a kid, in Brooklyn, and in the East and West 80s in Manhattan, all with his vivid and clear memories and funny anecdotes. He knew Chinatown very well. I think he visited every week to enjoy the food, his adventures, and to buy the fruits and vegetables at bargain prices. He introduced us to great restaurants, especially dim sum, that became a family tradition. I remember our 2 trips to Colombia and his kindness and special attentions to my Colombian family, and the get together with his Colombian family, Mary, Jack, and Monica. Even though there is so much more to remember and celebrate about him, I would like to close expressing my admiration for the way he lived his life until the end, with a clear mind and intellectually engaged with his projects and ideas. We're missing you. Rest in peace, Mr. Pete. Thank you for everything.
Are we off mute? Okay, thank you so much, Juan Carlos, for expressing all of that and for everything that you did. I know that he was not always an easy father-in-law to have, or he was not usually an easy father-in-law to have. I should amend that too. Okay, so I'm going to read some comments. Some replicate a little of what I said right after he died on my post, and they're a little repetitive of Maya's points. So I'm grateful to be Pete Vayda's daughter. Through his words, and more importantly, his actions, he guided me to question everything, to not be ruled by others or society's opinions, to view normal as relative and even not desirable, and to value experiences over possessions. So now to some of what I wrote right after he died. My father's capacity for growth was moving and amazing. As his daughter, I experienced his transformation from a largely unsentimental and at times insensitive father, and inappropriate, to one who demonstrated his love for me and our family in many ways. As you heard from Daniela, he always showed up for his granddaughter's important days and events, with me for deep philosophical conversations, help with difficult decisions, daily, yes, daily check-ins, and for hand-holding, hugs, and I love yous, even if at awkward times. When he was sick the last 2 months of his life, we talked about how big and surprising the love was. He asked me, why so much love? I think at the end of his life, and this is echoing what Maya said, he realized that it was his relationships with family, friends, colleagues, and students that gave meaning to his life as much as his intellectual and scholarly contributions. And then just some of the things that I miss most about him, I have to say I miss his physicality, because we actually did become really affectionate. So I see those pictures of him and I just want to hug him and kiss him on his head. But anyway, besides his physical presence and his daily check-ins, which were very solicitous, like he actually was like, I remember one that I shared with the family. It was, I want to thank you so much for the pepper jam you shared. It's delicious. Please, I hope you will bring me more. And I also hope you're feeling better, because he knew that I had been feeling bad. So that's the kind of daily check-ins we would have, if not conversations. I miss his humor. I miss our culinary outings, and especially having a spicy food and drink loving partner. His laugh, our dissecting, questioning, and hypothesizing of personal, medical, and political issues. Most of all, I miss my irreverent, rational, wise, supportive, loving, funny, smart, generous, surprising, annoying, always growing, fun, and yes, sweet and wonderful, super close friend. I was going to say best friend, but he wasn't my only best friend, but he absolutely was one of my best friends. And I think that's why this has hit so hard, is I really, really, really miss my dad, who was my best friend. So I'm deeply grateful to all of you for being here. And I would love to open it up to anybody else who would like to speak about anything. And I'm sorry that we went over, but it just felt like we needed to let everybody speak.
I think this is, we are 2 hours and 15 minutes in it. And it is a little bit a tribute to Pete, because he liked long sections and long conversations. And this is definitely related with his life.
Hi, my name is Jack Goldstein. I'm the son of Ana Maria Goldstein, who passed away, will be 2 years next week. She was born Ana Maria Vayda. So she was Pete's half sister. They never grew up together. They only met a few times throughout a lifetime, but every time for them was very meaningful, very intense. And since the advent of internet, they had pretty much daily communication, always challenging, intellectual, stimulating. And it was for me too, because those conversations trickled down to me fairly often. And I also had the chance to have a few moments with him, again, not many, but very meaningful. Came to my wedding and had the chance to chat with him, not at length, but deep. They were always deep, deep conversations that I really got to appreciate. So I have huge admiration for his work as a professional. Although I have to say that even though I love reading, I've thus far not been able to digest his work. It's beyond, but from what I read and what I hear from colleagues, an admirable person. I enjoyed very much his way of being unique, you know. And I'm also very happy that I was able to express my gratitude to him and to explain them why. Because it wasn't just a simple sense of gratitude. It ran very deep, and because of personal things, because of the example that he set for me, but also because of the way that he handled a relationship with his sister, his half sister. And I must say that after everything was said and done, in decades that they shared together, mostly online and by phone, they did not have a relationship of half siblings, but at least I know that for my mother, he was a brother and a half. And for that, I will forever remain grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. I know it was a great source of meaning for my dad to be your mom's sister and to be your
Brother.
uncle. I'm sorry, brother. Yes, he was a man. So what I was going to say is, in the slides that you saw, I believe the only blonde woman he was pictured with was his sister. So both the bare-chested guy in the beginning, I think, was the first. Someone's holding it up. That's the first time that they met. Juan
Yes.
Carlos is holding it up.
Déjame a mí and Daniela.
Yeah, there they are together the first time they met. And then later pictures as well, in his life, in his life showing was also him. I have to say, in thinking about my dad's life, I of course feel a huge sense of loss for your mom. And I miss her every day. She had a huge influence in my life, and they led very different lives, but they were similar. Oh, there we go. Great. They were similar in terms of being authentic, true to who they were, questioning, always learning, and in the end, valuing family, which I didn't think I would have said about my dad 30 years ago, but they both valued family and each other tremendously. So thank you so much for being here. I will also say Jack is an absolute world traveler. Like, I don't even know what the denomination is. You blew my dad away in terms of traveling, but he has that special designation. What's it called? You can say it. What is your traveling status?
Crazy.
Okay, besides crazy, how many countries are you up to?
UN about 140.
Yes, okay, great. So thank you for that.